Have you always wanted to know how to cut an onion, but you weren't sure if you were doing it right? I'm going to show you 3 ways to make sure that you do not lose a finger and still cut an onion correctly. So hi, this is Nan from Nan Loves Food, and today I just wanted to do a quick tutorial that showed you the proper way to cut an onion. There are very few things in the kitchen, in my opinion, that are like there are right ways to do, but I've definitely seen people cut onions the wrong way, and it's very risky. Like, you can actually really hurt yourself. So I'm going to show you a very thin slice, a regular dice, and I'm going to show you how to do a thick slice. So if those terms are confusing to you, don't worry, we'll get there. So the first thing you need to know about onions is that when onions grow in the ground, this part is what grows up. So there's green leafy things that come out of this end, and then the little furry bits, the hair down here at the bottom, are what is actually in the ground. So the reason that little anatomy lesson is important is because this actually kind of holds things together, and so we'll need to know that as we're slicing. So onions will make you cry, so we might laugh, we might cry on this here video, but that's okay. So if you have a batch of onions that is particularly cry-y, like you've got a bunch to get through and you're like the ductworks are going, pop it in the freezer for a little bit. That'll actually cut off some of the it'll make it so that your eyes just don't get as bothered. The chemicals in the onion that cause your tear ducts to well up will actually calm down a little bit. Throw it in the freezer, not the oven, freezer. So first, if we're gonna slice an onion, it's actually pretty simple. See, this is the hairy end, and this is kind of the bottom, the root. So that's just going to hold the structure of the onion together a little bit. So that'll be important. When you're cutting any sort of produce, any sort of anything truly, with a sharp knife, please do yourself a favor and use as flat a surface to cut on as possible. I can't tell you how many times I see people trying to cut on something that is round, and it just rocks and rocks and rocks, and that is how you're going to hurt yourself. You need a solid, stable surface on which to cut, and it will make our slicing infinitely easier. So I'm going to take you down to the cutting board now. Okay. So we have our little nubby end there, and to slice, see, now that everything is flat, the slicing is going to be super duper easy. So we're going to take off the top part. We're going to leave on the fuzzy bottom. Gizmo's perturbed about something. Forgive the barks in the background. So we're just going to peel back this first layer, this kind of papery layer, and get that off. Okay, and so we're leaving our fur on. So this one's got a little spot in it. We can make sure to get that. So for a slice, this is pretty easy. We're just going to pick a length that we want our slice to be, and just see, now that we're stable, proper cutting techniques would indicate that you would like curl your fingers back like this, and that just makes sure you don't accidentally get nipped. I definitely have lost a few fingernails at my own hand this way, but if you just curl your fingers like that, and we'll get nice, lovely. So this is great if you're just going to do, like, you know, for burgers or whatever. I don't generally do full rings on onions just because of how dangerous it is. It can be a little precarious if you're rocking on a whole onion like that. So I just don't. I just use slices like this. But this is great for stir fries or whatever you're using onions for, truly. So the next one that you need to know, and this is the one that really trips people up, it's a dice. So again, we're removing this top layer. We're going to peel back the papery bits, leaving on this little end. So now a dice just means it's going to be in little squares. So what we're going to do is, once the onion is firmly placed on the cutting board, we're actually going to take the knife and we're going to chop through the onion. And we're going to get it back to like here. And we're going to leave just this little end because that's going to keep us together, so we don't So this will keep all of our onion together, so it doesn't go everywhere. So we're going to cut it this way, and then we're going to slice it like we did before. Some people say that this step isn't necessary, but I would say that they are wrong. For me personally, this gets a more even dice. So we just have a couple of layers cut in there. So now we're going to take it and we're going to chop along here. Cool. And then we're just going to slice it, just like we did on the first one. So this will give you those nice even pieces of onion, which is awesome because when you're cooking, it's really important to get your food as consistently sliced as possible. See how relatively even these pieces are now. Once some of them are a little stuck together, but those are all going to cook at the same pace, which is going to make cooking our dish more even, which is awesome. It'll make our food taste better. You won't get some that are burnt and some that are not burnt, some that are really crunchy. I do not like raw crunchy onion in my food if they are supposed to be cooked. So the third way we have to cut an onion, this is a big kahuna here. And we are going to do this one in full rings. And we're going to use my fancy mandolin. So this isn't actually a fancy kitchen tool at all. They're relatively inexpensive on the internets. But what they're going to do is they're going to give us a consistent slice. So this blade is exactly this far from this plastic piece here. And the reason that's important is it's going to give us a consistent slice every time. So I really like to use a mandolin, specifically if I'm pickling onions. Pickled onions kind of became all the rage a couple of years ago. And when that happened, I really hooked into that. I really do love some pickled onions. They're a very, very easy way to just add a little acidity, a little bite, a little extra flavor, and some freshness to a dish that might not otherwise have it. So one of the more traditional ways to use a pickled onion would be to have, on a taco or something. And when you have like a fatty, beefy, delicious taco with cheese, it's nice to add a little brightness and freshness. And some people do that with the fresh onion. But for me, white fresh onion can be a little aggressive. I don't want it to take over the whole flavor profile of the dish that I'm eating. I like the pickled onions. They're a nice complement to just about anything you would otherwise put onion in. So we're just going to use the mandolin and run it across. And what's coming out of the bottom are these super paper thin onion slices. So again, having that nice even cut is going to make sure that those brine consistently. They're going to be the same. They're going to collect the same amount of vinegar and the same amount of salt all the way through. And if you have any of these yucky bits, just toss them out. It's fine. No big deal. Same with this little blemish on the back of the onion. No big deal. Just get rid of that piece and keep on keeping on. So yeah, you can just add these to the mason jar with a little bit of vinegar and salt and hot water. The hot water will slightly cook your onion, which is good. That'll help it pickle faster. Definitely keep those in the refrigerator for a couple of days, and they'll be so good. So here we have the thicker slice. We have the smaller dice, and we have the super paper thin pickling onions. So those are the 3 ways to cut an onion so you don't actually cut yourself. So those are the 3 ways to pickle an onion, or to cut an onion, including the best way for pickling. If you have any questions about the right way to cut vegetables, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to do a series of the right way to cut vegetables. I think it's one of those things that people find really intimidating, and it doesn't need to be. It's not hard. And I know you can do it. So leave any comments below. I'm happy to help and pick your favorite vegetable next. Thanks so much for watching.